Thank you for joining us for this Year in Review episode of Encounter. I am your host, Sherry McCullough, standing in for Jessica Garcia. In this Year in Review 2018, we will journey back to Polk's historic county seat city, the nationally recognized water sports chain of lakes, art venues, and more. Stay with us. For our first journey back, we encountered the city of Bartow, which is the county seat. Experience with us this special, quaint downtown area, the great Polk History Center, which used to be the county's courthouse, and government offices. Enjoy this special highlight tour of our small town of Bartow. How come Bartow is known as the city of oaks and azaleas? And this dates back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, and Bartow really emerging as kind of a tourist destination. And in order to make the city more attractive, the city planners had gone about all these different types of community development projects.
You have a community and a city of people that are loving and supporting each other. That's what makes it so special.
And they also paid a quarter each to plant 1,000 oak trees across the city.
When you think about economic growth to a city, there's a couple things that need to come into play. And one of the things is you need space. Hey, Bartow, we got space. You also need a community that's willing to support your cause. We got that. We have some awesome people that are really excited when a business comes in that we want to love and support them.
The Blooming Arts Festival is a juried fine arts festival and is Bartow's premier event each year. It is held the first weekend of March. The festival includes over 100 artists, car shows, flower show, bicycle race, music, food trucks, and more.
Many of those oak trees still stand today. If you come to the historic courthouse, there are at least two on property that we know of, and there's a really fun one kind of hidden back in the south area of Bartow that curves out onto the road. Polk County History Center, this walk takes you across the street to Fort Blount Park.
Bartow has a rich and diverse history. The walking tour will illustrate for you what life was like in Bartow during early settlement, the boom years, and the First World War. The stories shared on this tour resulted from the careful research and works of local historians, Dr. Cantor Brown Jr., Louise K. Frisbee, and William Lloyd Harris.
You can download the Florida Stories app by visiting on your iPhone or your iPad the Apple application store, or you can download it to your Android through the Google Play Store. And what you're looking for is a little icon with 2 feet on it, and it'll say Florida Stories. Once you download it, all you have to do is select Bartow as the tour that you want to go on. And what the app does is it takes you on a walking tour of 12 destinations in Bartow. So Fort Blount Park, Mann Manor, the cemetery are all covered on there, as well as some other locations.
As you stroll through the Polk County Historical Museum's collection, you will discover natural and cultural objects that represent our history from present-day era back to pre-Columbian. Learning history is fun and creative for youth and adults alike. Artifacts represent individuals, cultural groups, and events significant to the region.
Starts. Look at that. Bartow.
for joining us on this edition of Encounter. My daughter and I love the restaurants down here in downtown Bartow, where it's so unique and diverse. I hope that you enjoyed the historic tours.
In our next encounter, we travel to the county's Lakeland area to find a family-owned and family-friendly art experience. Various art opportunities of expression include pottery, ceramic mosaics, and jewelry and magnet creations. And if you don't know what a smoothie bowl is, stay with us and find out.
15 years ago, my sister had a crazy idea to bring paint your own pottery to Lakeland. So we opened in a small store on South Florida Avenue as Me and Hugh, and we had pottery and mosaics and a little coffee bar. That was 15 years ago, and that was 3 locations ago.
We're a small business, locally owned, and our owner is Kristen Miller. I'm local to the area, and I remember I was in high school when PicassoZ opened, and I was so excited about it. My friends and I all went. We were actually seniors in high school, and I painted a set of bowls, actually, for my first apartment in my dorm to take off to college with me, and I still use them.
We have grown, and each of the businesses now have their own separate storefront. PicassoZ Art Cafe, T. Largo Beverage Company, Breakables, and Trinket Bar.
A little bit of everybody. It's really neat having it in a location with a bunch of neighborhoods. We are very family friendly, so people coming on a Friday night, Saturday, looking for something to do. We have entire families who come in. Like I said, we have couples coming in for date nights. That's actually the way I was introduced to it, was coming out, enjoying this and dinner, and just having a good time.
We moved to this location 3 years ago from Lakeside Village. With this new location, we were able to expand and grow.
You're gonna lift up pretty. Perfect. Ooh, look at that. And then look, we can put your pinky right there. All right, we'll do just your pinky. Look at that. Good job.
So cute.
That came out really good.
PicassoZ is a paint your own pottery. We do some other things. There's also candle making over there. But you're going to come in and choose a piece, that's the hard part. Between these two zombies is obviously this has been painted, but then I dip everything in clear glaze. So even this part inside that has not been painted, it's still clear glazed and usable.
They're all handmade to order, so there is, some variation as far as, like you can see, we get pretty creative with what we do. Like we've got a little flower there. We have fun with it, and then we also have a pitaya bowl, which is made with pureed dragon fruit, and that's fairly popular as well. And then we just launched 2 new bowls, which are made with yogurt, Greek yogurt that we've frozen, and added other ingredients. Like our mermaid bowl has spirulina, which is a blue-green algae, and gives it this lovely blue color. And it's a popular new item that we have.
We have bubble tea, which is a drink that comes with boba, which is a cooked tapioca pearl, and we soak it in brown sugar so it kind of comes out like a gummy, and it comes at the bottom of the drink. And then we have lots of fruit flavors for the actual flavor of the drink itself.
There's a boba on there. Look at the boba. Boba right there. I love boba.
Now we will go back in history and see how families and frontiersmen, traders, lived in the 1800s at the biggest pioneer campout and reenactment in the U.S. that gathers every single year, called the Aleph I Rendezvous. See how host Jessica Garcia and her precious daughter Eden venture into the 1840s.
We arrived at Aleph I Rendezvous on a Friday afternoon. It was quite windy, but not cold, which is typical during this annual event. We were greeted by President Frontiersman Ron Clark and had a chance to interview him. Welcome. We have the treat of running into Ron Clark, who is the president of the Florida's Frontiersmen organization, and he's going to tell us all about where we are today.
Well, you're in Homeland, Florida, but what this is the Alafia River Rendezvous. It's what it represents is a pre-1840 event that happened out in the Rockies. The end of the beaver trade with the trappers that would take their furs and stuff in, and they would set up a rendezvous where they'd all meet and trade their goods, the furs, for goods to take back to the, like gunpowder, guns, knives, food, whatever they needed to do, and they'd gather for a trading event.
Wonderful. So that was back in the
1840s.
1840s, okay.
This event spans from 1640, which is like the start of the French and Indian War, to the 1840s, but it ends in 1840. That's when we cut off our time with that.
Casey Fletcher from the Florida Frontiersmen's organization.
We hold it once a year in January. It's the largest in the country. I think there are two keys to our success. One is it is in January in Florida.
Yeah.
So
the weather
a lot of people, we have people from all over the country attending, including from Canada. We've had people from England attend before in Alaska.
Nice.
And it is a very exciting event as a participant because I have now another group of friends, and this is the only way I know them and the only time I see them. The other important element is since we're reenacting a historical period back pre-1840, is that there's a tremendous opportunity to share and spread knowledge of the skills and the arts that the people that they did.
Did you know that they take this right here and they turn it into clothing? Look at the clothing hanging over there. Yeah, that's all turned into clothing. You feel it?
Yeah, it's so fluffy.
So fluffy.
See this one here? That's
Yeah.
I see a spin wheel. I can spin it when I'm...
Turn it. You just look. Now, when did you start this organization?
Well, this particular Alafia River Rendezvous was started 47 years ago up in Hudson, Florida.
Okay.
There never was by the Alafia River until several years later in 1985, but it was called that because of the Alafia River long rifles.
Wow, that's interesting. So this is an amazing event and it's huge. Has it always been this big? Or?
No, it's grown over the years. Our Florida Frontiersmen Inc. took this over in 1985 because the other club went defunct, and we held it in Keysville, Florida for a number of years there. And it's grown from about 160 camps to about 1,400 participants now. People come from all over the United States, have been coming for years to this, so it's like a once-a-time reunion to meet each other again.
Many of the blacks served as interpreters for the Seminole Indian. And so they would travel with the Seminole Indians when they went to Washington, D.C. to negotiate for peace. They would give them some type of trinkets. The French typically gave a brass gorget.
A typical Seminole dress with bangle jewelry. Well, this is our camp. We have basically our fly, which kind of serves as our front porch area. Our table where we have our dinner, everything is wood to give that unique feel, time period correctness.
We heard all about how they use their kitchen, their sleeping quarters, and the history behind their clothing.
One of the unique things about the Aleph I Rendezvous, we focused this year on Florida history. One thing that we learned that America doesn't necessarily do a good job at is talking about the history of Florida. But Florida was the first area discovered in the United States by the Spaniards. The richness of American history and the many different groups that were brought to Florida, such as the Africans and the Spaniards, and as well as the French. And so Florida history is just such a rich history. One of the great things I'm learning now is that there are many professors in universities now that are rediscovering and restudying Florida history. individuals like Dr. J. Michael Francis. Florida was kind of the epicenter of what went on in the United States.
You are at Mr. Monty's Toy Emporium. We sell the historical toys that the kids would have played with. Lots of fun. See lots of neat things. We have little umbrellas that the girls would have played with. Turn around and show him your face, how that makes you feel.
Yeah.
An instrument from the 1800s. It was brought to our country by the immigrants that came to our country. And the first one they had was called a shy-hole, which was it was a different shaped instrument. But they moved to the Appalachian Mountains, and people from the Appalachian Mountains reworked it, and they made their own shape of the instrument, which is the shape that you see here. And they played the instrument with a chicken feather.
Now we are going to take a boat tour through Polk County's chain of lakes in Winter Haven. 16 interconnected lakes in the southern region of Winter Haven alone make for great sightseeing, beautiful sunsets, history tours, and nationally recognized water sports. Cruise along with us on this historical nature-inspiring tour with Living Water Boat Tours.
There's actually 554 lakes in Polk County. And a lot of people don't realize in Winter Haven we have 50 lakes, and 24 are connected in what's called the chain of lakes.
My favorite thing about Polk County is the history. It's really got a small town feel, which for me is really important because where I grew up on the Cape, the people were next door to me still were making their own jam, and the nearest mall was 45 minutes away. And Winter Haven kind of has that feeling, but then we have that nice nostalgic downtown area.
Today we're going to go on a little sunset cruise, and we're going to see about 8 or 9 lakes and cruise by the beautiful $1 Million Homes, Legoland, get a little history of Cypress Gardens, the islands and the canals and how they were built and the years they were built and the railroads. We do customized pontoon boat cruises, historic cruises of the beautiful chain of lakes here in Winter Haven. We're going to head into Lake May now. We're about to go under the railroad track, Lake May. We have the CSX and the Amtrak run through here, the railroads. And it is a no-wake zone, which means we go slow through here. And Lake May is where Marine Supply is located. Marine Supply has been there 65 years.
I am actually originally from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, so I kind of grew up near the water a little bit. But I've been down here in Winter Haven for probably about 15 years and in Florida for about 28, and I just absolutely love it.
I was actually born and raised in Winter Haven. I lived on Lake Lulu, so I love the lakes. It's in my blood.
I met my husband at church, and we've been married now for about 9 years. And he kind of came up with the idea of why don't we do some pontoon boat tours on the chain of lakes. And I had actually never been on the chain of lakes. I would go and try to relax sometimes and grab my Bible and find a public park and just kind of sit and watch the water because it was so peaceful, but I was never actually on the chain until we bought the pontoon boat to do the business, which was crazy because that literally was my first time.
This is Caribbean Bay, and they just built a new tiki hut. And it held up well. It had a few palm fronds missing from Hurricane Irma. They put it up 2 weeks before Hurricane Irma came in, and it totally held up. It's built out of solid telephone poles. They do karaoke, and you can pull up here and you can get your Coca-Colas and stuff like that. They have a drive-through window.
And they also have a little bait shop back there, so you can buy minnows, shiners, crickets, worms. There's a couple of ducks. We call those Muscovy ducks. Coming through, how you doing? We're about to enter into Lake Howard. Lake Howard is the second largest lake on the chain. The largest lake would be Lake Eloise. We're about to enter into Lake Summit, one of my favorite lakes. These islands are all world famous. You had Johnny Weissmuller, he was the first Tarzan. He's filmed here. A couple of scenes from Gilligan's Island got filmed on this island right here. Esther Williams filmed here, Mike Douglas show. A lot of celebrities would come here. That island right there to your right, I'm gonna get you a little closer to it. That used to be the wedding pavilion. And that's where, when Cypress Gardens owned it, people would get married there. It was a big deal. It was a 2-year waiting list. And to get married on that wedding pavilion, it was beautiful. There's Legoland Water Park. Now this pirate ship right here got damaged during Hurricane Irma. So they're refurbishing in it.
The rookeries were very interesting, all the different types of birds they had.
Those are anhinga. They're a cousin to the anhinga, the water turkey, the snake bird. Yeah, anhinga just went under the water. They look like a snake bird. See the great blue herons in the nest? They're nesting now. 1, 2, 3, 4 great blue herons in the nest. We live in paradise. We're so blessed to be out here and capture all of God's beauty. And
another family-friendly art venue that we visited was Painting with a Twist. If you have ever wished that you could be an artist, then encounter with us on this episode how locals and visitors are learning to paint a full painting within a 2 to 3 hour session. This is a no-stress, fun, and even therapeutic environment, catering to the entire family, groups, and individuals of various ages.
We feel like our customers, they're not just numbers. Painting with a Twist is definitely more than just a business.
Really taking them step by step through every detail and making it a memorable experience for the whole family.
And I love making people smile when they come in here. That's my favorite part, to send out positive vibes, make sure you make people feel great when they leave.
Our customers mean a lot to us, and I know I've formed relationships with many of them just throughout the years, because they come back and they're a familiar face, and Painting with a Twist has changed some of their lives.
I love the artists here at Painting with the Twist. Some of them are just absolutely hilarious, and it's their job to get you pumped. So if you come in here feeling down, by the time you leave, they will have you in a much better mood.
We have twisters that come here all the time. I love when twisters come back and they remember us and they're like, oh, we want to come back and paint again, and then they come back and the next painting they paint, it gets better and better and better. That warms my heart. I'm so excited when they come back.
It's all about having a good time and bringing out people's confidence and making them feel like an artist for the day. So we just get the good jams going and have a good time.
Here it's more about having fun, cutting loose, entertaining people.
I love teaching all ages, kids to adults, any age.
We also do our summer classes throughout the entire break if you need somebody to entertain your kids for a while.
we do offer like mommy and me paintings or like daddy and me paintings. So we have 2 canvases that you put together, and the child does one painting and the parent does the other, and it's just like a really fun bonding experience and just a fun thing to get out of the house and do with your kid.
Well, it's good for kids because they can come and it kind of gives them somewhere to focus some of their energy. It's a little more lax than school. It's not like a school environment.
It's a great, creative thing for kids to get out and do, and they make their own little friends in the class, and we play our Disney playlist for them, and just really expressing that individuality and kind of being able to be their own person and expressing that. Especially if you're able to have the kids do a painting from start to finish completely on their own, and then they have like this sense of pride afterwards when they're holding it up and they're just like, I did this all by myself.
When people come here to paint, sometimes they paint their masterpiece as a gift. We have Mother's Day coming up, and we have a class where people can come and paint their Mother's Day gifts. And it doesn't matter how old you are, your mom is always going to love your artwork. Painting with a Twist basically just started out as a way to rebuild the community after Hurricane Katrina in the Mandeville, Louisiana area. And now there are over 340 locations in 39 states across the country, including Hawaii. It's grown, and it's bigger than anybody ever thought it was going to be. It's impacted the community in so many ways.
Always throwing some birds in my painting somewhere because birds are free. So my little saying is, free to live life.
I love coming to your classes. I have PTSD, which can leave me scared and anxious, especially in new environments, new people, practically anything that isn't me alone at home. However, you all have treated me with such kindness and consideration. My ability to come out and enjoy creating without fear or anxiety means so much to me. Thank you sincerely from your highest fan for a party of one Twister. So yeah, we have customers who this is their therapy. They might be dealing with something at home or dealing with something with family, or they may have lost a family member or a loved one recently, and they really just need to escape, and this is that escape. You come here and you leave all of that out there. You're here and you just get to relax and have fun, create something beautiful that will leave a lasting memory.
The value and the importance of art is just that creative outlet from like a young age. We are all born with this innate creativity, and then as we go through life, we're kind of taught what we should be doing or who we should be, and I feel like art is one way that people are really able to express themselves and not kind of fall into a mold, and I feel like that's really therapeutic for a lot of people.
Thanks for joining us in re-encountering the historic places, taking a boat tour around the chain of lakes in Winter Haven, and the art venues where family and individuals can find ways to have fun and express their creativity. If you're a resident and it's all here in your own backyard, or if you're a visitor, I believe that you will find a worthwhile experience at these sites. For more information on these sites, look for it on the next screen and have a great Polk encounter.